Hey guys, so just a quick Bitcoin update today, and we have seen another $1 billion liquidation day. For some reason, it is not liking me. There we go. $1 billion. For some reason, my website did not update. We see the long short ratio around 4%, which, if you do follow Michael's channel, you know that usually marks a short term bottom lasting around 24 to 72 hours. And you can see we've also seen Gann's 7 to 10 bar rule play out with 12 1 hour down bars, which, if you do a bit of backtesting, when you start to see 7 bars or more in a 1 hour downswing, it usually leads to at least a temporary bottom. Like you see around here, the 21st of October, price did go lower, but we did see some significant bounces or consolidations first. And obviously you can go and backtest this one yourself, but I'm not going to bore you by backtesting. But you can see price has so far bounced around $1,600, but we've only bounced for a couple of hours. On the 4 hour chart, I ran this Wyckoff pattern through ChatGPT, and it reckons it is a reaccumulation schematic. So over here in my Bitcoin channel in the TIA Discord, we can have a look, and I'll just let you have a read for that. But it did actually generate a image with the Wyckoff phases marked, but it looked so bad, I'm going to save you the eye cancer. Now over here, you can see, if I scroll over a bit on the chart so that we don't have the volume messed up, we bounced off the 50% level, which, if you're a follower of Michael's channel, you know that 50% levels usually offer support and resistance. However, it was a weak bounce, didn't even last a day, and we immediately went down to the next area of potential support, which is the smart money zone, the 786 to 826 Fibonacci, which, if you're following Traders Helping Traders, you should be familiar with that. And you can clearly see, if I zoom out a bit, this pink line here, which is the extrapolated line from the first two tops of the cycle, the 100K tops when Trump got inaugurated at the end of 2024 and the start of 2025. So that line extrapolated, you can see we dropped below it with our massive 20 billion liquidation event, but ever since then we have not been able to get back above it. Now, I would almost count this as a failed fourth time breakout. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you guys are familiar, this is a 4 hour 2 bar chart. So if you're using a 1 bar chart, it may not look as clean of a fourth time breakout, but whenever you get a failed move up, you usually expect a fast move down. And depending on how you're trading, you can also see this top here. Once we started getting closes and lower highs under around $114,000 on Coinbase, it was around 113.6 to 113.8 on most other exchanges. But Michael put out a really good video saying that if we started to see closes and lower highs underneath this previous top, we would expect a sell-off. And you can see here, we had a drop back, we had a lower high, we got consecutive closes, we fell to the 50% level, found support, and then nuked another leg down. Now, so what now? So we are being held up right now, but by this fib zone. But if you have a look at the market data, I'm going to come over to the cryptocurrency Max Pain page, which is a fairly new page on CoinGlass. It's been around for, maybe a month or two, but I've had so much success using it. And you can see we have tapped the monthly max pain to the downside. So the long max pain, obviously. We've gotten our reversal signal that Michael tracks, $1 billion, 3% difference or more. And that means it's very likely the next level we take out is going to be the short max pain. Now, for some reason, this has not updated since we broke down from 120K. So I'm going to take a 20% pump with a little bit of grain of salt. I would happily be proved wrong. Like, I would love to see a 55% pump on Doge. But realistically, I think the 2-week max pain level is a bit more realistic, $116,500, which would see us come up and hopefully close above this pink line here at 116k. And if we can get, some consolidation above these old tops here, around 116k, like if we punch through, 116,400, maybe we go to 117, 118, ideally even 120k. If we can see some consolidation between 116 and 120k, then I would think that the 1 month max pain of $126,500 could potentially be taken out. Now, having a look at the Wyckoff schematic here, you can clearly see, because we've moved down into this range, there's only two options available to us. It's either a redistribution pattern or a accumulation pattern. It won't be a reaccumulation pattern because price has not moved up into it, and can't be a distribution pattern because price has moved down into it. So you can clearly see we've got obviously the massive sell-off. We've got what looks to be a potential spring in the market. It does look a bit early in the schematic, especially considering we didn't see continuation here around the 26th of October. We did sell off again. So that potentially means that either this here could be our actual spring, in which case we could see a wick lower to, $100,000, $101,000, which would line up with a test of the 50-week TMA that I talked about in previous videos. Or this is a spring, and the early phases of this accumulation pattern are just, really compressed. We've gone through those phases really quickly, and this phase through here is just taking a bit longer. So, but one thing that I don't really like is we're getting a lot of selling volume and not a lot of buying volume in this recent move down. Now, obviously that can change really quickly. If we see, closes back above $110,500 in the next day, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, that could easily invalidate this pattern. But one really good thing that we've seen is through here, we were seeing lots and lots of buying as the market sold off into this spring, and we are still making a higher low. So ideally, I don't want to see, the 50-week TMA get tested. Like, I don't want to see more downside because, I don't want to see my portfolio looking bad. But I have a lot of confidence in this pattern right here that if this higher low holds, if I turn on the TIA Gann swing indicator, if we get a 4-hour 2-bar higher low confirmed, and then we get some higher lows under 110,500, I do believe we will probably see 116k get retested. And I have a feeling that 2-week short max pain for the market is going to be a magnet, and we should see a move to 116k sometime in November. Now, having a look at the daily time frame, it is even more uninspiring, the price action, especially because we've got around 2 hours to go, just under. The daily BX trender looks like it is going to close dark red. Now, if you do some backtesting, you can see whenever the daily BX trender closes dark red, you almost always see some more pain before more upside. Now, it can close dark red, and you will get a, some consolidation, maybe a move up first, but it does signal that the low so far, so in this case, this low here of $106,345 for Binance will probably get taken out. So ideally, in the next hour, we see some crazy buying pressure, or we, just have to suffer through a bit more pain. Now, you can just see this little example right here. We saw the daily BX trender close dark red. We saw a rally, but that low got taken out. Now, it only got taken out by around, $400, but this signal still stands. Another signal I really don't like is we've gotten 3 days down after 3 days up signal. Now, there was a lot of debate in the TIA Discord whether this 3 days down from an all-time high could be invalidated by this 3 days up from a higher low rather than the immediate low. And whatever the case was for either side, it is now invalidated. So you can also see here, when you get this pennant or triangle and you get a failed move in one direction, it usually leads to a fast move in the other direction. Another thing is we saw wicks above the 50-day TMA, but we couldn't get a close, which means that is actually a short signal in my strategy, because it's basically saying that, you know, price is attempting to give a long signal, but it's failed once, twice, 3 times. So, you know, you could have shorted anywhere from the daily close here, here, or here, and obviously you'd have gotten, you know, $6,000 per Bitcoin. Now, having a look at the weekly time frame, you can see the stochastic RSI looks like it is trying to print a double bottom, similar to what we saw in August of last year, August and September. And, you know, you could sort of argue this March, April was also a bit of a double bottom on the stochastic RSI, where you got this insane bullish divergence where price went a bit lower, but the oscillator made a higher low. So if you've got your divergence cheat sheet up, you can have a look. But here you can see the oscillator so far, the week has not closed yet. Looks like it is wanting to make pretty much an equal low, but price looks like it is wanting to make a lower low, which isn't the strongest divergence, but it's still a divergence nonetheless. Now, one thing I've learned, or kind of experienced in my trading career, is the stronger the divergence, the stronger the reversal. And in this case, you can see here, in March and in last year, August, you got a really, in March and August last year, you got some really strong divergences, and obviously you saw some really strong pumps to come out of that. But if we see a weaker divergence this time, the pump may not be as strong, which is also something that Jason Pizzino has covered in a lot of his YouTube videos, that as the end of the cycle gets closer, you're not going to see as clean, explosive moves. They're going to be a lot shorter lasting. Like, you know, people who are getting in at like 100K expecting Bitcoin to do another 700% is probably not going to happen. So anyways, I won't go down a rabbit hole there, but on the weekly chart, I'm very uninspired by the price action so far, because obviously we have not gotten a crossover in the moving averages, so the divergence is not confirmed, and the weekly BX trender is still making lower lows. So for now, I remain neutral in the market. On the 4-hour chart, I am bullish. I am expecting, you know, some continuation up to at least $110,000 to see if we can break above it and head towards $116,000, or if this will end up being a redistribution schematic and we will see prices coming down to $100,000 or $101,000. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.